is not to take Africans and move them to Europe. The solution is to free Africa from certain Europeans who exploit it and allow these people to live off what they have. This is called the CFA franc, a colonial currency that France prints for 14 African nations, and by virtue of which it exploits the resources of this nation. This is a child working in a gold mine in Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso is one of the poorest nations in the world. For Burkina Faso, which has gold, France prints colonial currency. In return, it demands that 50% of everything Burkina Faso exports ends up in the coffers of the French treasury. The gold that this child crawls into a tunnel to extract mostly ends up in the coffers of the French state. So the solution is not to take Africans and move them.
Not just what the Honorable Giorgia Meloni has told you right here. We also oppose the brain drain of African intelligence for our European markets that the liberal and the leftist socialist want you to think is a good thing. We also oppose the green agenda on electric vehicles that are enslaving children in the Congo as if Leopold is still in control, for cobalt, for lithium, so they can have their electric vehicles and their renewable transportation. We oppose not just this. We oppose as much as we do in Europe, the Islamic colonialization of sub-Saharan Africa. A place that has never accepted Islam, that has been proud of its history, proud of its ancestry, and one that has shared a long history of Christianity too. The first church outside of the Middle East and Greece can be found in Ethiopia, not in Europe. And then when you see the crying, bleeding heart liberals saying of Donald Trump, who I'm not a fan of, but why are you taking the Afrikaners out? Why are you just taking the white people out? Isn't that what some black groups in Southern Africa have asked for a long time? Let's bring them out of South Africa if they are willing to come. But we must also stop the most radical elements in southern parts of Africa, like the scumbag communists, like Julius Malema, who is still calling for genocide against white folks and Asian folks. Yet he is proud to say he loves the financiers of his party who are of Jewish origin. What a hypocrite he is. We do not have a problem with black Africans. We would love Africa to be a great place where its people would want to return home to good jobs, in good housing, with good conditions and good schooling for their children. Who would not want that? We are standing against the left-wing liberal and Marxist agenda in this world. And it goes hand in hand with the true nature and will of the African leadership, like we have seen throughout history. And as I said before, the Congo, the great leaders like Patrice Lumumba, Shaka Zulu in times gone by, Kenyatta, whose name lends itself to the country of Kenya, of Haile Selassie, who was a man of peace but fought strongly against Islamic colonialism from the north, and of course the decolonization of the Maghreb from the economic imperialism of the French. We support this as much as Africans support this. Our brothers and sisters in Africa do not see the so-called ultra-right and our far-right patriot movements of Europe as being against you. No, we stand by you in as much as the same way as you do not want the criminal and the dangerous elements in your society of your fellow peoples free in society. You want them in jail. So too do we, of our own people, of African peoples and of others. How much people in South Africa are in prison from Zimbabwe? How many? It's not a small number. Remember one thing and one thing alone. Just because we are on the right, it doesn't mean that we are wrong.